Art therapy is a form of psychotherapy that utilizes creative expressions such as drawing, painting, or sculpting to help individuals explore and understand their emotions, improve self esteem, and enhance mental well being. It provides a unique avenue for communication and self discovery, allowing individuals to convey thoughts, feelings that may be challenging to express verbally. Now, Sumaya, you know that there are some people that find it hard, to communicate their feelings, but then they can actually, maybe
Paint it.
relate it through songs, paintings, writing, and what have you. And that's what we are going to be discussing today. And we have our guest joining us from via Zoom from Kaduna. Her name is Fatima Awaisu, and she's an art therapist.
All right. I mean, there's a lot, to talk about when it comes to art therapy. First of all, I never even knew that there was there was art therapy. I mean, the first time something like that rang in my brain was when we had the situation of the actress Genevieve Naji, when someone was saying she has
She was
mental issues,
and
then
it was
she
shown
uses
she was
art
painting.
exactly as something to recuperate it. So that is an amazing thing.
Yeah,
It's
so
one
we
thing
are
that I
going to
can't
hear
wait.
from Fatima. Let her walk us through what art therapy is and how she came about all that. So Fatima, if you can hear us, good morning and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so for the sake of the viewers and people that are yet to understand what art therapy is, can you please walk us through art therapy in your own opinion?
So basically, art therapy is a form of psychotherapy that deals with using art media as the primary form of expression and communication. Because a lot of people that come into therapy have a problem with communicating their feelings and what they're going through. So art therapy uses different art modalities like painting, drawing, sketching, collages, and so much more. It uses all that to help them communicate their emotions, their feelings, and to tell their story.
All right, Fatima, as a professional, is there some kind of way that someone is supposed to help their loved ones in terms of getting this art therapy, or do loved ones need to really reach out to professionals like you in Nigeria?
In Nigeria, I don't think there are many professionals, to be honest, that you can reach out to for something like this. But I feel it's something that you can encourage someone to do, especially kids, neurodivergent kids that have problem expressing themselves. You can give them, activities as a family member that can help them, try to express something to you or communicate something to you.
Mm. A very lovely,
So
situation there.
yeah, so that Fatima, tell us how are you able to understand clients' emotions or their feelings from the artwork that you see them go through every day.
Okay, so when we start a session, first we try to break the ice and provide a safe environment where they feel they can express themselves. So when we start, you start with warm ups, to get them to get creative, to start something, and then we have different exercises, depending on the problem they come with. And even if they don't really come with a problem, adults, we deal with a lot of stress and we don't process everything. We just shove everything to the side and just move on with life. So even if an adult comes, not really for anything, just to express themselves and to de-stress, we have activities for them, that will get them to face their emotions, to get in touch with their subconscious.
All right, let's talk about the benefits of Fatima of art therapy in general. I mean, we see beautiful pictures on our screen here, where it's showing, people pour out their own emotions. So, what are the benefits at this point for art therapy? And as someone who is an expert in her field, is it everyone that needs art therapy?
Okay, so I'll start with the benefits. There are so many benefits because it helps with stress, it helps treat stress, it helps with neurodivergent kids, it helps with learning difficulties, it helps with mental problems, it helps people really address trauma and overcome it in some cases. And there are so many benefits. It helps with pain management in chronic illnesses too, with people living with that. Yeah, so the other question, please.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, the other question was, does it involve everyone? Like, it's everyone is expected to go into this art therapy section, or is it just people that already are finding it difficult to portray their emotion or forget their emotions?
Okay, I feel it's actually for everyone because I don't think there's a single person that has not been dealing with a form of trauma, living with it, or still dealing with it, or not even addressing it. So I feel it's a form of expression, like just for yourself. I feel it's something everyone should do.
Okay, Fatima, how are you able to convince a client, to make them believe that you are creating a safe space, a supportive environment for them to portray their emotions to you as a therapist?
First of all, the environment is very important. The environment where you have an art therapy session, especially with kids, they have a liking for a particular person sometimes. So if you find yourself that kids are very open to you, you see you're a step ahead already. You've established that sense of safety and trust for them. And for adults, it just needs to be a serene place, and you have to be accommodating, you have to break the ice and get them to be in their comfort zone because they're expressing themselves. You don't really need to comment or to make them do anything they don't want to do. You just guide them through the entire process. And a lot of people, find it relaxing and a very good form of expression for themselves.
Indeed. Speaking of expressions, we know that people tend to find it difficult to open up to people. So even though right now at this point, Nigerians are already welcoming the idea of talking to a therapist, a counselor, more. Now there is this one that is called the group session. People are finding it a bit difficult to share their emotions amidst people that they consider strangers. So, have you ever been in a situation where you organized an art therapy session, for groups, and how challenging was it to make that happen?
I've worked in a rehabilitation center where all the clients gather for a group art session, and it's challenging, because there are people from different backgrounds, they've never probably interacted, and then they're all in the same space, and you make them do a group activity, to get to feel free with one another. Eventually there's this ice and awkwardness, but I feel they overcome it and they get comfortable, and it's fun for everyone, honestly.
Okay, so what are the considerations, or should I say, how do you come up with choice of material for each client or for each session of your therapy that you carry out?
So I consider if it's an individual session, first of all, or if it's a group session, because how I go about both is very different. So for individual sessions, some come based on referrals, like maybe their therapist told them they should consider that. So they come and they tell me like, oh, I have this. So I base my treatment off on what they come with. And for general group therapy, it's just I classify the activities based on things that will just get them to express themselves. Like I can maybe give them an activity that is color your emotions. You get to think like, okay, what does my anger look like? Or I tell you to draw how you're feeling now. You might say, I'm feeling tired. I feel lonely. So, you get your brain working like, okay, how does my tired look like? Okay, how does my lonely look like? And then you have to put it on paper. And that's the point. So you will eventually find a creative way to put it on paper. And then you address it, you're like, okay, I feel tired. Why do I even feel tired? There's so many activities. And from my experience and my knowledge and my training, I get to know like, okay, this would work better with this. Okay, that would work better with that.
So, what can you learn about your patients' artistic creation whenever you watch, their work after they've finished painting out their emotions? How are you able to review those paintings into understanding what the person is really feeling?
Uh, we notice a lot of detail. That's actually the good thing with art. We are very observant and mindful. We notice the tiniest details. So I might just look at an artwork and I will consider like the intensity of the strokes. I might consider the colors used. I might consider how neat and how messy it is. There's so much I can tell just from looking at that.
So how are you able to handle challenging emotions of a client when it emerges during a session?
You let them be. That's the thing, because we don't diagnose, or we might give advice, okay, or suggestions, but we don't diagnose. Whatever they're feeling, you let them go through it. You just let them know it's a safe space. They are safe here. Whatever they're going through, they should go through it, because I think it's a step to actually acknowledging their emotions.
Okay, now we're getting to it. The fact that you are supposed to help those people paint out their emotions and let them know how to accept, how they're feeling, which is the first step. Now, how do you align it with the final solution, which would be how to get that person out of that situation if that person is in a sad state of mind?
Okay, first we're going to acknowledge, the trauma, like the causes of that. After identifying the causes, then we proceed to seeking solutions. And it's not something I would tell them, it's something they would figure out themselves. It might be like given an exercise called the ball and chain. So they will write what their ball and chain is, what's stopping them from reaching their goals, what's stopping them from being happy. And so for every ball and chain, we'll identify like what the problem is. And then after that, we can have an activity called letting it go. So you let go of all those um, things holding you back. After you let them go, then we identify, okay, what next can you do? Like, okay, to achieve your dream life, okay, what do you need? They all identify that themselves. So that's the good part. They figure out the problem themselves, they let it go themselves, and they find solutions to the problem themselves.
Okay, so I can see that you work with kids, right? So how are you able to, you know, um, understand these children's emotions that they tend to paint, and how do you tell what they are going through by mere looking at their painting?
That's the beautiful part of working with kids is amazing because they are very creative, very imaginative. So their mind, it's beautiful. So they get to express themselves, I feel, way better than adults do with drawings, because uh, especially kids with autism or in the autism spectrum, they have problems communicating what they feel, what they want, and stuff like that. But with painting, it gets them, they play with their hands, they play with paint and stuff like that. And you notice a little thing, a little pointers, on how they're doing, what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are. And we don't really focus on the weaknesses. We try to work on what they're good at, so that they get better.
So, do you work with other stakeholders in this matter? I mean, if we're talking about the children, whatever they're portraying, do you share that information with their parents, and also talk it out with them on how to help those people? And also, if it's someone who is a grown up, an adult, do you talk to someone else, to assist them, or even require the help of other therapists, in another field?
Yes, with kids, we try to get their families involved. We give them take-home activities that involves their parents and stuff like that. And we talk to the parents also, okay, so we tell them their child's strengths and stuff like that, and things they should work on more, and things that would help them communicate with them more efficiently. And with adults, if you come in for a professional session, that is different from like just a casual de-stressing activity. So if you come for a professional session, I can, tell you the things that I've noticed and what I think you should do. If I believe you should see a proper therapist, I will tell you. Or if I believe I want to talk to your therapist, that I can suggest that to.
So, how do you work with patients who are uninterested in art?
A lot of people are very skeptical about art. They're like, oh, I don't know how to draw. I've never drawn anything. But that's the funny thing. You have to draw. You're here. You just have to draw. It doesn't matter what you make. It doesn't matter what it looks. It's more about the process. That's the thing about art therapy. It's more process intensive. It's about the process of creating, you connecting with your subconscious self, getting deep into your head and just doing something. Because a lot of people, while creating, you don't think. You think before you create, you think after creating, but during that time you're creating, you're just being you, just doing you.
So you just said when you're at your your safe space for people to come and paint, they have to paint. So in a situation where a client paints a crooked, kind of maybe draws something crooked and what have you, how do you tell what exactly they are trying to communicate to you?
That's the thing. Like when they draw, people like want to tell their stories. I believe creating art is about telling your stories. So when they draw, I'll be like, okay, wait, but what is this like? And then they'll try to explain, oh, this is this because of this, or this is this, that. So that's how you get them.
All right, interesting conversation with you there, Fatima Awaisu, an art therapist. It's so good to hear from you, to have a peek at what you have experienced in your career, and we hope that, of course, we have young people coming out to do more of this. You're doing a great job. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you so much for having me.